Good evening. I hope everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, if you raise your hand or just someone just raise your hand, let me know because I don't want to get started without. All right, I'm seeing some hands already. Looks like one person might not be able to hear me. There we go. All right. Before we get started, I really want to say congratulations to the Gear Up team over at DeSoto ISD. I've been talking with them for well over a year, and they're doing some great things. I love the idea that they are taking kids out on field trips and they're exposing them to the things that they really need to be exposed to at this time. And so it's great that we expose our children this early, but tonight we're going to talk about a few things that a lot of parents we start thinking about once our children are born, and we start thinking about daycare and just getting them through diapers and through elementary school. And now all of a sudden, when we look back, we realize that they're already eighth and ninth grade, and they are about to start embarking upon a whole new dimension in their life. And so for us parents, we have to start looking at planning for their education. So tonight we're going to discuss the first steps to planning your child's college education. Again, my name is Elliot Javon Ricks, and I am a financial professional with Mutual of Omaha, but I specialize in helping parents to start planning and maximizing their goals as far as the college education and the college cost. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead. If you have any questions, again, just feel free to type them in. If I see them, I'll try to stop and answer them, or I'll make sure that I try to come back, circle back around to them at the end. All right, today's agenda, we're going to first talk about what is financial aid. I know it may seem a little elementary, but the idea is to make sure that we all understand the basics of really what is going on and the steps in the process that we all need to take. Also, we're going to discuss determining your financial need. We're going to talk about the FAFSA, which is critically important when it comes to applying for financial aid when it comes to college. Something that regardless of whether you're on scholarship or whatever, every student has to fill that out. Also, we're going to talk about the expected family contribution. We're going to talk about something we call building your child's college team. We're going to talk about merit-based and athletic awards, things to do now, and my favorite is starting a college brag book for your child. And I know that may also be a brag book for us, but when we get to that part, you'll see just how important having something like that really is. What is financial aid? We all know what it is. A lot of us have been exposed to it, but it just provides access to money or resources that's pretty much offered by our federal, state, and governments, as well as many colleges. And it's built to assist students as well as parents to be able to afford the cost of a college education. Without telling my age, I'll tell you when I was in college between 1993 and 1998, I think my tuition was about $5,000 a year, $2,500 a semester, and that does not include room and board and books and things like that. And I know now the same college is well over $10,000. So within the past, again, I don't want to tell my age how many years, it's doubled already, and it's considerably more. The other thing is there are many types, numerous types of awards and aid that are available. Everything from educational loans to work study to academic to athletic to band to particular community service. There are also religious awards. All type of scholarships that are out there. And it's just a matter of looking for them and starting at the correct time. And this now with our children going into the 8th and ninth grade or in the 8th and ninth grade, this is a critical time because it's great if you could start a spreadsheet and just start as you find them, list them, have the dates that you know they're due, where year comes around. So when your child gets to that senior year or even that junior year, because some of those scholarships, they award them in the junior year, you already have a leg up and you already know. And then, of course, you have the grants and scholarships that are considered gift aid, and of course, do not have to be repaid, which that's really what a lot of us want our children to have. We would love for them to get those scholarships and those grants so that we as parents don't have to repay all of that. Now, determining the financial need. When we try to determine the financial need is very important because we're trying to figure out exactly how much each family is expected to pay. And of course, that's determined using information that we provide when we fill out the FAFSA form. And the FAFSA is actually what they call the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. That's what the FAFSA is. And the thing about the FAFSA is it has to be filled out that January of the student's senior year before they're headed to college. One misconception is people think that you can do this FAFSA form just one time. That is incorrect. The first year you do it, which is the January of their senior year, that is considered the base year. But every year your child is in school, they have to go back and you have to update that FAFSA form. And the reason they want you to update it is very simply because sometimes people get raises, sometimes people lose jobs, sometimes parents get divorces, so that always changes that number. So when that number changes, depending on the cost of the institution, that base need can also change. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of acronyms that I really want you all, hopefully you have a pen and pad, you're taking notes and everything, but when it comes to determining your financial need, there are a couple of things that you're going to want to remember. This is what we call the expected family contribution, or the EFC. That's the expected family contribution. Then, of course, there's also what they call a COA, which is cost of attendance. That cost of attendance is pretty much the tuition, room, and board that it costs to attend whatever college or university your child is going to. Then, of course, you have the financial need. And that financial need is the base number that the colleges are looking for to see how much money is actually going to be needed to be awarded so that your child may go to that school or that college or university. Now, here's an example to make it a little bit simple, so hopefully you all can get a better idea of what I'm discussing. When you look at cost of attendance, let's say we go to a college or university, and let's just say it's Texas A&M. I'm not sure the cost, but let's just say it's $35,000 for that year. That is what we would consider the cost of attendance. The expected family contribution would be $15,000, or so they say they expect the family to be able to contribute based on what was filled out on the FAFSA form. They would expect that EFC to be $15,000, which means that child would have a financial need of $20,000. So that financial need goes back to scholarships, grants, loans, things like that. But I don't want you all to say, oh my goodness, I'm having to come up with $15,000. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just using that as an example. That FAFSA will determine what your expected family contribution will be. So a lot of times, just to have a base understanding, that helps us out. And I'm just throwing numbers so that you get an understanding of how the cost of attendance minus the expected family contribution, or the EFC, that will let you know what the financial need is. The FAFSA, and what is it? As I mentioned before, I told you all what the FAFSA stood for, and it's nothing more than something. Over 20 years ago, the federal government came up with this and said, hey, we need to find a way for everyone to be able to figure out exactly how much contributions can be made by the family, how much money needs to be awarded to the children or the college students so that they can attend the college and university. And what's amazing is it was widely accepted, and every single college and university across the United States uses that FAFSA. And it's nothing more than just a quick, easy, fast way for colleges and universities to figure out, based on the data that's put on the FAFSA forms, what exactly is needed. And the good thing about it is it's not biased. It just simply goes by the information that goes in. So basically, an example would be if your child is a senior and they're having to fill out the FAFSA because they're going to college in August of 2017. This year, 2016, would be that base year. So all income that a parent or child earns during that year would be the base income to let us know, or to let a college know what, or help them determine what that expected family contribution would be. Now, when it comes to the FAFSA, there are 3 ways that you can fill out the FAFSA. Of course, the recommended option, everything is online now. So they would love for you to go online. This quick, fast, easy, go automatically is sent in. It's www.fasfa.ed.gov. The second option is you can download the PDF application, and of course it comes with instructions for you to fill it out and mail it back in. And then of course you can also call into a 1-800 number, and that 800 number is 1-800-4-FED-AID, or Fed Aid. Now, when you fill out the FAFSA form, there are some bits of information that you're going to need to have handy. I tell everyone, make sure you have the past 2 years tax returns. That's pretty much standard for anything these days. But what you're going to need is the parents and the children's social security numbers. You're going to need W-2 forms for parents as well as the students. Tax returns for the prior year. If you get child support for children, you're going to need the child support records. If you, the parent, or even the children hold any stocks, bonds, mutual funds, anything like that, you're going to need the current records or statements for that. Also, I know we're going a little deep, but they want parent bank statements, as well as any current business and or farm records. So basically what they're saying is any information, anything that shows any type of income that you may have, they're going to want to see it, and they're going to want to make sure that you report it so that they can accurately determine whether the child actually has a large or a small financial need. Now, I don't want you to fret, because that income that you're reporting is only one of 7 factors when it comes to determining what a family's financial aid or eligibility may be. So that's really small, just a small component of the entire FAFSA. So again, I want to repeat this in case you all are taking notes. When you get ready to fill it out, there are 3 ways. You can do it online, which is www.fasfa.ed.gov. You can download a PDF application and mail it in, or you can call 1-800-4-FED-AID. And again, when you get ready to do that paperwork and fill it out, those documents that are needed, of course, your social security numbers for both the parents and the students. You're going to need tax returns for the prior year, child support records, W-2s of the parents and the child if the child worked a summer job or any type of job, just to show any monies that were earned for that base year. Current records for stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, as I mentioned. Current bank statements, and also any current business and farm records. So when you get ready to do that, it takes about 2 to 4 hours, depending on if you have everything organized or not. I'll never forget when I had to do it. I had to ask my parents for help, and it took us a couple of days because my parents didn't have all that. So one thing is, by having all that ready and with you when you get ready to sit down, you can go through it pretty easily. Now, the biggest thing that we're all concerned about is, how can I reduce my family contribution and maximize my child's or my students' financial aid? And so what I tell a lot of people very simply is, there are a couple of things that we always want to do, and we want to be mindful that we are doing it so that we can be prepared. That base year, as I mentioned, again, when I say base year, if your child is going to college in August of 2017, the base year is right now, 2016, from January 1st to December 31st of 2016. That would be considered the base year. So if you're going to take any actions to try to reduce or lower their expected family contribution, then you have to do that before December 31st. It's not like taxes. If you want to contribute to an IRA, you have up until April 15th. Anything you want to do stops at December 31st. If your job gives out bonuses, you're going to want to ask if your bonus can be held over to the next year. Ask them to give it to you on January 2nd or January 5th, because the lower your amount, the more aid that your child or your student can get. Another idea is if you have any securities, if you want to sell any securities, liquidate any stocks, bonds, or mutual funds, you're not going to want to do it during that base year. Or in our example, you're not going to want to sell anything during 2016, because those capital gains earned from that sale will increase the estimated family contribution. And that is something that we're not trying to do. Another thing is any charitable contributions. If you make any charitable contributions, you want to do it before the base year, meaning you would not want to do it in 2016. You want to do it in 2015 or 2017. Nothing in 2016. Another question that a lot of parents always ask me is their retirement accounts, their IRAs, 401ks, self-employment pensions or SEPs, 403bs, will those retirement accounts affect the child's aid? And the answer to that is no. Nothing having to do with the parents' retirement accounts will affect the child's aid. So anything like CDs, any stocks, any bonds, anything outside of retirement, something that maybe you all set up individually or parents set up individually, those things are counted. But if it is tied or set in a retirement account, you do not have to worry about those things being calculated in. And so another good thing about that is that's your money. We don't want to use your retirement money to pay for children's education. I know a lot of times parents do, but that's really not the idea for that. And that's why there's so many laws and penalties around those retirement accounts when you pull the money out, there are 10% penalties if you're not 59 and a half, because they're trying to discourage that. So in order to help that, they're saying any monies in those retirement accounts cannot be calculated. Now, here's something that a lot of people don't think about, but to be honest with you, we pretty much have to think about this. We need a team. When you're raising your child, you already have a team. You have the teachers, you have daycares, you have the mom, the dad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, helping to raise the child. We have to create that same environment for our children when it comes to getting them ready for college. So, of course, the most important part is the student. Their input is vital. I know a lot of times we try to push and we try to say, oh, go to this college or major in this, but this is where they're actually getting the opportunity to become that adult that we've been waiting for them to become. And as I like to say, get out the house, and my dad would say, break the plate. This is their opportunity, but we want to make sure that we have the right support around them. Whatever it is, we don't want to push them to be a doctor or engineer. That's not what they want to do. But we do want to make sure we have those building blocks to make sure whatever it is they want to do, they can do it. So the parents and the students have to be on one accord. The next group I say is always your insurance and your financial advisor. In the last section, I talked about your retirement accounts. I talked about if you have savings and investments outside of retirement accounts, how they can count against you. Your insurance and your financial advisor, those are the ones that if you have existing relationships, or if you don't, you may want to find someone so that you can go over and talk about the plans. You can go over and say, hey, this is where my son wants to go. This is how much we have right now. This is how much we've saved up. Whether you save something or you're not saving, you still need to have a financial advisor or an insurance person there that can kind of help guide you through that. The next one is, of course, the guidance counselor. The only downside to a guidance counselor is the ratios of a guidance counselor. If I'm not mistaken, a guidance counselor can have anywhere from 50 on a small scale at a small school to 200 to 300 students, and they're only one person. And so they get all the information about SAT exams, ACT exams, scholarships coming up, field trips, colleges coming in. But if we don't go as parents and talk to those guidance counselors, they may not have any clue that our child is on the path of looking. So now is the time, as soon as they get to the ninth grade, that is the time to go talk to the guidance counselor with the child, not us as parents alone, but with the child, and let the child express to them in front of, with us there in front of the counselor, hey, I do want to go to college. I may not be sure what I want to major in, but I do want to go. So anytime an opportunity may come through that school, that guidance counselor can be there and say, hey, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Smith's child or Jonathan thought about that. That's something he's interested in. Let me reach out to him and pull him in, because you don't want any opportunities to pass by. The next one is the financial aid officers. Once your child picks out, I say anywhere from 2 to 5 colleges that they're really considering, and to be honest with you, once they narrow it down to 2 or 3, that's when you should talk to those college financial aid officers. Reach out to them on the phone. We always recommend college visits, and like I said, the Gear Up team, they're great at having those. I know a lot of schools take them on different trips, and of course I know a lot of colleges come and visit. But call them and go meet with those financial aid officers, because once again, we have no clue what comes through those doors, what offers come by, what programs there are, what scholarships there are. Every year people are doing endowments, so you never know. It may be for someone who has as low as a 2.5 GPA up to a 4-point GPA. You never know what type of extracurricular they're looking for. So go and meet with those financial aid officers, because they can be a wealth of knowledge to our kids. The next one I always say is ACT and SAT prep counselors. Those are programs where I know a lot of schools offer them. From what I've been told, the Soto ISD has, I think the ninth graders have already taken it, a practice one. If not, I'm sure they'll be getting ready to take one. I think the 8th graders start practicing on theirs also. We start looking at those scores. You want to make sure that they're on par with a lot of the scholarships, especially the state scholarships, because a lot of programs say you have to have X number on the ACT or SAT along with this GPA, and in order to get that scholarship. So if the child is missing by 1 or 2 points, we may have to get them special tutoring. You may have to either go through the school, go through some private tutoring, and of course there are programs and books and companies out there that actually do those prep things. So that's another building block on that team, as well as a tutor. I tell everyone my son struggles in math. 6th grade we got him a tutor. 7th grade he didn't need a tutor. 8th grade he needs a tutor again. So that's something, that's a very integral part, because as they grow up from algebra, pre-algebra to algebra to trigonometry, calculus, all those things, once they hit that 9th grade, we know how important those grades are. So we want to make sure that we stay on top of it, our kids stay on top of it, and those tutors can be a very, very important piece from a 6-week to 9-week to semester GPA averages. And of course, the last but not least, we have our CPAs. Some people have CPAs, some people have accountants, some people just have tax preparers. Whoever it is you may have, make sure they're on your team. Now, that's a pretty big team, and I'm not saying they need to be called every day, but everybody on that list at least needs to know what you and your child's aspirations are. If they're okay. Someone just asked if I'm sorry, I'm just looking here. Someone about a question. If you have a question, feel free to type it in. I'll look down and I can address it. So if you want to type in your question, go right ahead. Next part here, merit-based and athletic awards. We all know merit-based is pretty much GPA. The higher the GPA, the better the academic track, whether it be just having a great GPA or whether it be having pre-AP and AP classes. Many schools reward many scholarships for that, as well as many outside organizations have awards for that. Now, what's amazing is admissions officers love to see kids that do much more than just either athletics or academics. They like and they love a well-rounded student, everything from church to student council, to sports, to being able to hold a strong GPA, to being able to be a volunteer. They're looking for that individual that when they come into college, they're not just one-dimensional. So we have to make sure that we have our children ready for that. The other is the athletic awards. Many kids play football. I realized when I moved here, Texas is a big sports state. Everything from football, baseball, basketball, track, you name it. There are all types of programs. My children swim, so those are different programs that they have to make sure that they have that their coach has to know what their aspirations are. Their coaches need to know that, as well as the next one is going to be talking about that brag book. The same thing is done in athletics. That's really where the idea came from. If you've ever on YouTube, if you're ever even on Facebook, people send out those highlight reels. You'll see them. Just a way to keep things going. So those are the different types of scholarships that are out there, but those are things that the children have to, or our kids have to work hard and earn, but we want to make sure we stay on top of all of that also. All right, things that we need to be doing right now. I tell everyone the biggest thing is making sure that we're engaged with our kids and making sure that we're engaged with our kids' teachers. Parent-teacher conferences, making sure you're talking to them, making sure you're going up there scheduling. I know one of my kids hates when it's parent-teacher conference because they're like, Daddy, why are you going? And I'm always like, well, I need to go. Whether you're making A's or whether you're making C's, whatever, I need to go talk and know how you're doing in class. The other thing is just making sure that they develop those strong skills, especially in the core subjects. On here, I said strong skills in reading and math, but there's also government or history. There's also science. All of those subjects, those core subjects, we need to make sure they have a strong foundation. Also, we need to start talking to our children about something that a lot of our parents never talked to us about, smart money management. Growing up, my parents never talked to me about money, never talked to me. I saw them dealing with it. I saw them owning businesses and things, but they never talked to me about money. And so that's something that we need to start talking to, because so many times our kids go out from getting credit card debt and things like that, and we need to make sure that we protect them from that. Also, talk to the kids, guidance counselors and teachers, just letting them know what the plans are, as I mentioned before. And for those of you who are already or have already started saving for your children's college education, great, excellent. You've done a perfect step in planning for that. Those who haven't, you're going to want to start and keep saving. If you started, you may want to start looking at dumping in a little bit more. Those who, if we're a little bit behind, if we're waiting until 4 or 5 years out, yes, that number for saving is going to be a little bit bigger. But at least start doing something so that in case some incidentals happen, like I tell people all the time, it's not just tuition. It's a lot of scholarships cover tuition, room and board, full rides cover everything. But gone are the days where colleges are really giving full rides. So from meal plans to books and everything. All right, my favorite piece, and we're getting close to the end. I always tell people to start a student brag book. That's something that, like I said, it started from the athletic world, where people would always have highlight reels, regardless of what the sport is. Like I said, even to this day, 2 weekends ago, I was videoing my kids swimming, swim meets. That's something that I do that because you can show progress. You can show progress from where they started in its particular event to as they progressed, as their skill level got better, the times got better. Same thing with the brag book. You can start from 8th grade, but really start from 9th grade, and they can progress, and you start seeing the different things that the kids are doing. And I recommend that you start off with a binder, 3-ring binder. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can go to Walmart and buy one for $1.96. Unless you just want to have something fancy, you can go to Kinko's, FedEx, and get one for $9.95. And I love those little plastic sheet protectors or plastic sleeves. You're always going to want to make sure what you put in them is very relevant. And so I did not put it on here. So here's some ideas of what you may want to put in that brag book. Of course, every year you're going to want to have a copy of the courses. You're also going to want to make sure you have a copy of the transcript after each semester. If they take any standardized test, I know once they get to 8th grade here in Texas, that particular goes away, but that particular standardized test goes away. But any other test, so the ACT, the SAT, whatever it is, you may want to get those results and put them in the brag book. A lot of schools do the class standings, what number your child is out of 500 students or 750 students. You're going to want to have that there. Any AP or honor courses, you're going to want to have the letters showing where they got accepted to those, as well as any honor rolls that they may participate in, any honor societies, any volunteer honors, any community service honors, any academic competitions, whether it be, I know chess club, I call it an academic, but some people call it a sport, debate team, things like that. And what's amazing is when these students participate in these, a lot of times they will give them certificates. Perfect place for them to put that information, because I know if you leave it to a lot of our kids, they'll just go in, throw it in the room, and keep it moving. Well, keep it in that book, label it 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. The other thing we want to do is have a section for extracurricular activities, clubs, church groups, big brother, big sister, Boy Scout, Girl Scout, political, anybody that may work on any political campaigns, sports, whatever. And also, we're going to want to make sure that we have information about their employment, what their positions were, where they worked, what their job duties were, their responsibilities, things like that. And of course, schools are doing a great job now of keeping up with organizational volunteer hours. Keep that in that brag book also. Now, in addition to the brag book, you may want to start developing a list of people. I tell people have 3 different groups. One for personal, one for academic, and one for professional. These people are people that you can go to and get a letter of reference or a letter of recommendation for your child. Already having an idea. When you're engaging in conversation with your kids, ask your kids who they're dealing with at school, what teachers they're dealing with, people at church or people in different civic organizations or whatever that they're dealing with, so that they can get a good understanding, so that you can always go back to them, because it's going to be a time where we're going to have to ask, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead, have to ask our kids to go out and get those letter of recommendations. Now, as far as tonight, that's pretty much a pretty good idea of just something to get us started. I know we could go a lot deeper, a lot further when it comes to minimizing and maximizing our aid. There are a lot of complicated ideas I could tell you about. I could tell you about ways to protect the ability for your children to go to college. A lot of times people don't think about life insurance, but life insurance is one of those things that when it comes down to minimizing your out-of-pocket expenses, if you have money sitting aside in savings accounts, if you were to put it in permanent or cash value life insurance policies, that does not get reported. So there are ways to be able to minimize what the FAFSA is actually showing, so that you can maximize your students' aid. So there are a lot of things that I did not get to talk about, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Ms. Williams is going to mention to you where I'll be speaking at the event in DeSoto ISD on the 12th, and we're going to have a couple of surprises and some information for those of you who come by that we'll be able to give you. So if there are any questions, feel free to type them in. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions for me that you may not want to ask tonight, feel free to give me a call. That's my office number. My cell phone, looks like it's, my cell phone is 225-572. Looks like we transposed those numbers, so 225-572 up, and it looks like it should be 5986. I'm sorry about that. But you can call my office at 817-226-4700, extension 261, or you can shoot me an email at elliot.ricks@mutualofomaha.com. Thank you all for your time. I know you could have been doing other things, but as I said, thank you for your time, and it shows your dedication to your children. Have a great evening.